Have you ever stopped and wondered why the tiniest, most insignificant moments can ignite you like wildfire? A slow driver, a careless comment online, a coworker blurting something clueless. It's almost embarrassing how quickly a trivial irritation can hijack an entire day, how a speck of nonsense can feel like a personal attack. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The ancient Stoics understood with brutal clarity. It's never the irritation itself. It's the power you hand over in that moment. Anger isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's quiet, corrosive, a thief hiding in plain sight. And every time you react to something stupid, you allow that thief to walk off with your peace. Epictetus warned, you cannot control events, only your response. And if you let every trivial thing trigger you, you're not living, you're being controlled. Today, we change that. In this video, you'll learn 7 Stoic strategies to stop getting angry at the meaningless nonsense that steals your focus, drains your energy, and leaves you feeling powerless. By the end, you'll know how to remain calm, composed, and firmly in command, no matter how foolish the world around you becomes. Welcome to Stoic Sage Academy, where we train the mind to rise above the noise. 1. The Stoic pause, the moment that saves you from yourself. Before anger erupts, there is always a tiny window, a hidden gap, an invisible moment where you still hold full control. Most people never see it. They react before they even recognize what's happening. But the Stoics trained themselves to live inside that moment. The pause before the storm. Every explosion begins with a spark, a rude tone, a clueless remark, a careless action, something small, something trivial, yet it hits like a punch. The instinct is immediate. React, defend, prove your point, assert that you're not someone to be disrespected. But here's the painful truth. Your first reaction is almost always the wrong one. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And he wasn't speaking about catastrophic tragedies. He was talking about the small irritations, the ones that ruin your mood for hours despite lasting only seconds. The Stoic pause is the antidote. When irritation rises, your mind floods with impulses. The Stoic move isn't to fight them, it's to pause long enough for reason to return. Imagine you're in traffic. Someone cuts you off, your chest tightens, your mind screams, react, honk, prove they can't treat you like that. But instead, you take one slow breath, just one, and in that breath, something shifts. You step out of the emotional fog, you see the truth. A random driver who doesn't know you exist, someone whose poor judgment doesn't deserve one moment of your peace. That is the power of the pause. Or picture yourself at work. A coworker makes a clueless comment during a meeting. Your instinct is to snap, to correct, to restore your pride. But the pause interrupts you and whispers, "Is this worth my energy?" Almost always, the answer is no. The pause is not weakness. It's not passiveness. It's power under control. Choosing not to strike simply because you can. Epictetus taught that every emotion begins with a pre-emotion, a first wave that hits automatically. What you choose next, that's where freedom begins. Inside the pause, space opens. Inside that space, perspective returns. And with perspective, anger dissolves because it no longer has oxygen. Here's the Stoic pause boiled down into a practice. 1. Pause. Even 2 seconds is enough. Freeze the reaction. Let the mind catch up. 2. Breathe. Slowly, intentionally. A long exhale signals safety. The anger loses force. 3. Question. Is this deserve my peace, or is this just my ego? 9 times out of 10, it's ego. The version of you that wants perfection, predictability, and universal respect. But the world isn't perfect. People aren't predictable. Respect is not guaranteed. The Stoics understood. You cannot control chaos, but you can refuse to let it live in your mind. And with practice, the pause grows. Your reactions slow, your clarity sharpens,
your dignity returns. You stop being dragged by every irritation. You choose your responses like a calm warrior, measured, intentional, unshakable. Action challenge. Today, just once, when something stupid triggers you, don't react. Pause, breathe, question, choose. One small victory over anger is a giant step towards mastering yourself. 2. Reframe the insult, the ancient Stoic art of turning words into air. Most anger doesn't come from major betrayals or life-shattering events. It comes from words, light, weightless, meaningless vibrations in the air, yet we treat them like sharpened knives. Someone disrespects you, someone gossips, someone takes a shot at your competence, your appearance, your intelligence, and instantly the mind tightens into a fist. But the Stoics had a radical question, one that dissolves half of our anger in seconds. Is it really an insult if it doesn't apply to you? Epictetus said it clearly. If someone tells you your hair is purple, do you become upset? No, because you know it's false. That lesson sounds simple, but it is a philosophical weapon, because what people say to you is a reflection of their mind, not your worth. A foolish person speaks foolishly. A bitter person speaks with bitterness. An ignorant person speaks from ignorance. Why then react as if their words reveal something about you? Imagine someone calls you lazy, yet you know you work hard. Why let their confusion injure your peace? Imagine someone mocks your dreams, but they've never pursued one themselves. Why allow their limitations to define your destiny? Or imagine someone tries to belittle you to lift themselves. Why give their insecurity a throne in your mind? Most insults collapse under one question. Is this an accurate reflection of who I am? If yes, it's feedback. If no, it's noise. Either way, anger is unnecessary. But this is where the Stoics went deeper. They understood that even true criticism doesn't require anger. Why? Because the purpose of criticism is improvement, not emotional collapse. Seneca, who endured more political insults than almost any philosopher, wrote, "The wise person is not harmed by the words of others, for they only strike the surface. Words only hurt when you let them penetrate." Here is the Stoic reframing in its purest form. When someone insults you, they reveal their character, not yours. When someone mocks you, they expose their insecurity, not your inadequacy. When someone disrespects you, they show their values, not your failure. Anger stops making sense when you see insults for what they truly are: uninformed opinions, emotional outbursts, or projections of someone else's struggles. Nothing worth sacrificing inner peace for. So the next time someone throws an insult your way, practice this Stoic sequence. 1. Pause. Let the words land without reacting. 2. Observe. Is this reflect me or them? 3. Decide. Is this truth I can use or noise I can ignore? Once you master this, you become uninsultable, not because you are numb, but because you're grounded. The world will always have people who speak carelessly, but you choose whether their words become wounds or simply wind passing by.
3. Expect the behavior, and you stop being shocked by it. One of the biggest reasons we get angry is because we're constantly surprised by human behavior, even though we've seen the same patterns thousands of times. Marcus Aurelius had a ritual every morning. Before starting his day, he reminded himself, "Today, you will meet the ungrateful, the arrogant, the deceitful, the envious." They act this way because they do not know good from evil. This was not pessimism, it was preparation. When you expect people to act foolishly, you stop being shocked when they do. Think about it. Why are you surprised when a stranger on the road drives poorly? Why are you surprised when someone online lashes out? Why are you surprised when a stressed coworker snaps? Why are you surprised that gossip exists? Why are you surprised that someone acts from fear, ignorance, or insecurity? These things aren't anomalies. They're predictable human tendencies. You're not living among sages. You're living among billions of imperfect humans.
including yourself. The Stoic approach is simple but transformative. If behavior is predictable, it should not anger you. If a toddler screams, you don't get angry because you expect a toddler to scream. If a dog barks, you don't take it personally because that's what dogs do. So why are we offended when adults act from their own version of immaturity? When someone behaves foolishly, the Stoic response isn't anger, it's recognition. Ah, there it is, a predictable expression of human nature. Suddenly, the spike of emotion softens. You stop taking things personally. You stop feeling attacked. You stop making the world's behavior about you. Instead, you see it with clarity. Some people act without thinking. Some speak without understanding. Some lash out because they're wounded. Some criticize because they feel small. Some offend because they lack wisdom. Your anger fades because you no longer expect the unrealistically perfect version of humanity. The Stoics didn't lower their standards, they raised their understanding, and from that understanding came a powerful truth. The world does not owe you emotional maturity, but you owe yourself the ability to navigate the world with composure. When you expect imperfection, you stop being ruled by it. Your emotional world belongs to you, not to the chaos around you. 4. Shrink the ego, the silent engine behind most anger. Most people think anger comes from injustice, disrespect, or someone crossing a boundary. But if you look closely, brutally honestly, you'll discover that most anger comes from something far quieter, far smaller, and far more fragile: the ego. The ego hates being overlooked. It hates being wrong. It hates being questioned. It hates looking foolish, unprepared, or imperfect. And the moment someone threatens that self-image, the ego lashes out like a cornered animal. But here's the truth the Stoics understood. A large ego creates a small life, because when your ego is oversized, every comment feels personal. Every disagreement feels like a confrontation. Every mistake feels catastrophic. Every criticism feels like humiliation. Every minor inconvenience feels like disrespect. Suddenly, the world becomes a battlefield, and you are constantly under attack. But here's the Stoic reframe that dissolves this madness. You are just one human among billions, a single person, a single mind, a single life, temporary, imperfect, learning, changing. Seneca said, "Anger is like dust. It blinds us. We see nothing clearly." And what blinds us the most is the belief that everything is about us. Here's the uncomfortable truth few want to hear. The person who bumped into you in public wasn't thinking about you. The driver who cut you off didn't target you. The coworker who was short with you wasn't plotting your downfall. The stranger who made a rude comment online doesn't even know you. People act based on their own stress, insecurities, fears, blind spots, and emotional storms. You are rarely the cause, but your ego insists you are always the victim. Shrinking the ego does not mean shrinking yourself. It means freeing yourself from needing constant validation, from needing to be right, from needing to win every argument, from needing the world to treat you perfectly, from needing life to bend to your expectations. The Stoics practiced a form of ego reduction that was not about humiliation, but about liberation. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Soon you will have forgotten everything. Soon everything will have forgotten you," not to create despair, but to create clarity. Clarity that frees you from overreacting. Clarity that puts petty irritations in perspective. Clarity that makes anger unnecessary. When the ego shrinks, your peace expands. You become harder to provoke because there is less inside you that can be provoked. Here's a Stoic exercise to begin shrinking the ego. When anger rises, ask, What part of me feels threatened? Often, it's pride, not principle. Ask, would this matter if I had no ego at all? Almost always, it wouldn't. Shift your identity from the injured one to the observer. The observer sees events without personalizing them. When you stop making everything about yourself, your life becomes much lighter, and anger loses one of its strongest allies. 5. Zoom out, the cosmic perspective that instantly dissolves anger. Every day, we let tiny irritations consume us, things that will mean nothing in a week, an hour, or even in 10 minutes. A stranger's tone, a mistake in an email, a plan disrupted, a moment of disrespect. But Marcus Aurelius trained himself in a simple but profound practice. Zoom out until the problem becomes small, because everything is small when viewed from the right distance. Think of Earth suspended in a vast, silent universe. Then think of your city within that Earth. Then think of your office, your street, your home, your tiny moment of irritation within that street. Suddenly, the thing that felt enormous shrinks into a speck. This perspective shift is not poetic, it is psychological. When you zoom out, your emotional storm weakens, your thoughts slow down, your ego steps aside, your priorities reorder themselves, your anger dissolves under the weight of a larger reality. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And nowhere is this more obvious than in anger. Anger magnifies, perspective shrinks. Zooming out restores balance. Here's how the Stoics practice this. Zoom out in time. Ask yourself, will this matter in 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day? Most of the time, the answer is no, absolutely not. Zoom out in scale. Visualize the event from the viewpoint of your entire life, human history, planet Earth, the universe. Feel the irritation collapse under the weight of reality. Zoom out in identity. Remember, you are not merely a person with a problem. You are a thinking, resilient being, capable of choosing meaning over emotion. Suddenly, a rude comment is just a moment. A stubborn coworker is just one human among billions. A delay is just a passing inconvenience in a life full of bigger priorities. When you zoom out far enough, anger becomes almost impossible to justify, because the more perspective you gain, the more power you reclaim.
6. Choose your response, the discipline of deliberate action. Anger feels powerful, but in reality, it steals power. It grabs the steering wheel of your mind and drives you into reactions you later regret. The Stoics believed that real power is not found in reacting quickly, but in responding deliberately. Epictetus taught that between stimulus and response, there is a choice. Not an easy choice, not an automatic choice, but a choice that determines the quality of your life. Anger thrives on speed. Stoic discipline thrives on intention. Most people respond to irritation like a reflex. Someone snaps, you snap back. Someone insults, you defend. Someone disrespects, you escalate. But this cycle is automatic only because it is untrained. The Stoic flips the script. You do not need to respond the way your emotions want. You can respond the way your wisdom chooses. Here's the Stoic method for deliberate response. Interrupt the impulse. The moment you feel the rush of heat, the internal demand to react, pause. Even 2 seconds of silence creates space. 2. Identify the objective. Ask, what outcome do I actually want? Do you want peace, clarity, resolution? Or do you want to win a moment of ego at the cost of long-term calm? 3. Select the response. Not based on emotion, but based on strategy. Sometimes the best response is calm explanation. Sometimes it's firm boundary setting. Sometimes it's silence. And sometimes it's walking away entirely.
Every one of these responses is more powerful than anger, because anger is not strength, it is undisciplined energy. The Stoics also believed this: you don't owe the world a reaction. Just because someone throws chaos at you doesn't mean you must catch it. Just because someone invites you into conflict doesn't mean you must attend. When you become deliberate in your responses, something remarkable happens. Arguments shrink, drama loses its grip, people stop using your emotions against you, you gain respect through composure, and you become a stabilizing force instead of a reactive one. One day you'll discover that the strongest response to provocation is not aggression, but self-mastery, because anger controls those who lack it. Discipline controls those who practice it, and the Stoic goal has always been the same: to be the master of your mind, not its servant. 7. Protect your peace. The Stoic act of guarding your inner fortress. Imagine your mind as a fortress, not a fragile one made of glass, but stone, ancient and unmoving. Inside that fortress lives your peace, your clarity, your focus, your dignity, your ability to think and act with wisdom. Now ask yourself, why do you allow the smallest things to invade it? A careless comment, a stranger's rudeness, a delay in plans, a moment of disrespect. These are pebbles, yet we treat them like wrecking balls. We open the gates wide and let nonsense run wild inside. The Stoics would never allow this. They believed that protecting one's peace was not passive, it was an active discipline, a daily practice of defending the mind from needless disturbance. Here's how they did it. 1. Strong boundaries. Not walls that isolate you, but gates that guard you. You can say, "No, I won't engage in this argument. No, I won't let you speak to me in that tone. No, I won't sacrifice my peace for someone else's chaos." Boundaries are not aggression, they are self-respect. 2. Selective attention. Your attention is the currency of your inner world. Where you place it determines what grows. Most anger thrives because we pour attention into the wrong things. Pointless comments, situational slights, people who aren't thinking about us, events we cannot control. The Stoic mind chooses carefully. What is worthy of entering my mental fortress? Most things aren't. 3. Emotional minimalism. This is not emotional suppression, it is emotional clarity. Instead of saying, "This thing is ruining my day," the Stoic says, "This is a passing inconvenience, nothing more." Instead of inflating the significance, you shrink it to its true size. Most anger evaporates when you stop amplifying it. 4. Self-ownership. The Stoics taught that nothing external to your mind can disturb you unless you grant it permission. This is the heart of all Stoic peace. Nothing external is worth surrendering control of your internal world. When you truly understand this, you become untouchable. You walk through life with calm, unshakable strength. People may try to provoke you, situations may test you, chaos may surround you, but it cannot enter you, because your peace is not something the world gives, and therefore it is not something the world can take. When you protect your inner fortress, you stop being reactive, fragile, or thrown off course. You become grounded, centered, a presence others feel but cannot disturb. That is the Stoic ideal. Not a person without emotion, but a person whose emotions serve them rather than sabotage them. So now you've seen it. The truth the Stoics understood with absolute clarity. Anger is not strength. Anger is surrender. In every moment of anger is a moment in which you hand your power away. But you are not here to live as a servant to impulse. You're here to rise into mastery. Every strategy you learn today, the pause, the reframe, the expectation, the ego shrink, the zoom out, the deliberate response, and the protection of peace is a piece of ancient armor forged for the battles of the modern world. Because life will not get easier. People will not suddenly become wiser. The world will not magically stop provoking you. Chaos will not politely step aside. But you can become stronger, calmer, clearer, more unshakable, more capable of walking through life without being pulled into every emotional storm around you. This is not about suppressing emotion. It's not about pretending to be above everything. It's about reclaiming what has always belonged to you: your mind, your peace, your response, your power. Every time you pause instead of react, every time you choose truth instead of insult, every time you expect imperfection and meet it with grace, every time you shrink the ego and expand perspective, every time you respond with intention instead of impulse, every time you protect your inner fortress, you become more like the person the Stoics trained us to be: a mind unmoved by chaos, a spirit unbroken by noise, a presence defined not by anger, but by command. And if you commit to practicing any one of these ideas, not perfectly, but consistently, you will feel the shift. You will feel it in the calm that appears where rage once lived. You will feel it in the clarity that cuts through confusion. You will feel it in the strength that comes from knowing you govern yourself. This is the path of Stoic mastery. This is the path of inner freedom. And this is the path we walk together here at Stoic Sage Academy. Remember this as you go forward. You cannot control the world, but you can control the world within you, and the world within you is where your real life happens. Choose calm, choose clarity, choose composure, choose the kind of strength that cannot be provoked. Your peace is yours. Guard it fiercely, live it daily, and let the world watch as you rise above the noise, untouchable.